What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Roxy music. And indeed, I do apologize. I know it's been about a month since the last one. It's just inevitable that some deep dives end up slipping off my radar, but I do try to catch up with everything, so we're back. And we're back for a track that's a bonus tune included in an expanded folder for the 1973 album For Your Pleasure. Fair to say, we finished the proper album last time with the title track. But there are some bonus tunes provided by major friend and champion of the channel, Seb, so big shout out to you again. And the first track in that regard is Pyjamarama. Pajamas, this is a term I believe in both Hindi and Urdu, and I think it traces back to Persian. But it essentially means like trousers or garment. In the English-speaking world, it's come to mean garments that you wear in bed or overnight while you sleep. So yeah, with that as a starting point, a Pajamarama, there's a celebratory or party element to it. It seems like a cheeky title, something that's, just a fun starting point, and we'll see what the lyrics actually are. Let's find out. This is Pajamarama by Roxy Music, a bonus tune included in an expanded folder for their 1973 album For Your Pleasure.
Take a speaker, just like you. How the house going weaker below.
It's like part theremin, part brass.
For you, for everything I say, I think I do. How can I apologize? Road goes on. The world may keep us far apart, but I can have my danger. You can have my heart. Diamonds may be your best friend, and life wrapped around the tears. I follow you to the end.
Have my heart, I'll follow you to the end. I like the drumming on this one. Among other things. Sonically, it's crazy. Maybe less crazy than some of their other tunes, but still, multifaceted, multi-part. I did enjoy I don't know, for lack of a better word, like classic rock vibes of the section, or I guess, I don't know, people have said glam rock is a tune that is, or is a phrase that's relevant to the early output of Roxy Music. It's not a phrase that until I started doing these reactions that I had heard too much. It's certainly not one that I'm comfortable applying because again, not really being familiar with it. I'm not quite sure what characteristics designate it, and ultimately I get it. Labels are a funny thing. Something like synth pop, there's like a million different flavors that there can be that are, yeah, it's technically synth pop, and so is that, but they're very different. So I get it. But ultimately, despite the poverty of my language, the rock parts of that tune, I really like the atmosphere. As I said, the drumming, the sort of like rolling, syncopated fills and so on. And, as ever, Fairy's voice, it's charismatic, it's unpredictable, it sort of does these little, I don't even know if they're technically vibratos. There's sort of these little like shimmering moments in the middle of an otherwise, straight tone line. And yeah, I caught little bits and pieces again, something about like giving his heart to someone and, following them, I don't know, forever. I'm forgetting in the moment. But it felt like, it was a bit more serious sounding than the title. But either way, I didn't catch enough to get a real, sketch of what's happening, and ultimately it might be more conceptual or, different vignettes and so on. But the parts that I did hear sounded devotional and very like passionately felt. So yeah, a cool tune. I wonder, oh, that's right. Seb, his tracks often have metadata, so let me see if there's any clear indication of, that's a B-side for such and such tune. Give me one moment, look at the details. Okay, so it's For Your Pleasure A-side. Interesting. So I don't know if that means, so wait, because, when I go through these deep dives, I do go to Discogs and I look at the master release, because it shows like the first version that came out, and ultimately the like most standard version is like shown. And yeah, in the standard version shown on the For Your Pleasure entry, 1973, it ends with For Your Pleasure. But again, the Pajamarama, as I'm looking at it here, and the metadata says that it's the For Your Pleasure A-side. So a little confused by that, but presumably that just means that it came out on a release or a single with For Your Pleasure. So, and perhaps, what would normally be the A-side was for whatever reason put on the B-side, which is funny. Like in the world of techno, like A-side, B-side, it's not quite as much of a big deal, but usually it's, if there's a side with the logo of the label, then that's the A-side, and the info side is almost always the B-side. Now, it is fair to say sometimes title tracks and like maybe the tune that's considered the biggest tune is put on the A-side by itself, whereas there'll be 2 or even 3 tracks on the B-side. I don't think it's quite the same, sort of dynamic of A and B-side tracks. So yeah, it's weird as someone who's bought vinyl for a long time and, who, thinks about like, oh, they put this track by itself on the A-side and so on. It's still a learning experience for me, learning about music from before my time in the 70s, and then, when I was a single-digit kid in the 80s, a teen in the 90s. But learning about the way that singles are released and which tracks are chosen, and the label wanted this track but the band wanted to use this track. I'm always intrigued as I go through these the catalog of these groups, and people explain the sort of way that different tracks are chosen for singles and B-sides and so on. But yeah, a cool tune, one that again seemed to be more serious than the title. Curious to hear what people have to say. Let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.